So here I was on a lazy Sunday afternoon, casually sucking on lollipops. Don't question it, just roll with it. When a random thought struck me. What if I combined my two favorite things? Isekai and overpowered main characters. And boom! That's exactly why we're here today. So without wasting any more time, let's just jump straight into the top 10 isekai anime where the main character is reincarnated as the most overpowered character out there. Now to start off, we have the greatest demon lord is reborn as a typical nobody. Now isekai stories often lean on the fantasy of starting fresh with all the knowledge and power from a previous life. Still, this anime takes it in a slightly different direction. The main character, who's the most feared demon lord in history, chooses to reincarnate because he's just sick of being on top. His strength isolated him. No one dared approach him, let alone treat him as a friend. So the dude wants nothing more than to live as a regular guy, blending in without the crushing weight of expectations. And of course, that never happens. Even in his weaker form, he effortlessly swipes the floor clean with everyone around him. Every spell, duel, or test of ability is just his aura farming. Yes, it does make the battles a little bit bland over time, but the story tries to keep you engaged as the main character attempts to forge genuine connections with other characters throughout the show. The irony of the main character wanting to be a nobody while being doomed to the spotlight gives the show its charm. The strongest man alive just wants to be normal, yet strength is the one thing he can't shed. The result is a mix of power fantasy, comedy, and heart that keeps the reincarnation premise fresh, while still scratching the itch of watching a main character break every limit. And at number 9, we have My Isekai Life. I gained a second character class and became the strongest sage in the world. Yeah, these videos are incomplete without a long-ass crappy isekai title like this one. I'm pretty sure this won't be the last one on this list either, so here the story wastes no time with the main character, and neither does the title. The makers took all the character development, training arcs, and power-ups and flushed them down the drain. Because of course he would. One moment he's in his regular life, and the next he's whisked into another world and handed a setup so broken that the word overpowered barely covers it. Not only does he gain a rare dual class, but he also commands an army of slimes that multiply his abilities and give him unmatched versatility in combat. From that point forward, this dude operates less like an adventurer and more like a walking natural disaster. His strength comes with no real limit, and that's the appeal. Watching him command waves of slimes that act as scouts, attackers, and helpers gives the anime a unique flavor. So if you're in for that, give this show a shot. Next at number 8, we've got Goodbye Dragon Life. Now I can't think of a single catchy line to start this review, so let's just get straight into it. In this story, the protagonist begins as an ancient dragon, already a creature of unmatched might, only to be reborn into the body of a human. But rather than losing strength, he carries the instincts, resilience, and aura of a dragon into his new life. So the main character doesn't need to learn strength, he is strength reincarnated. Every duel, every encounter becomes a reminder that the essence of a dragon can't be hidden in human skin. And what's surprising is how generic this anime is. Now, although that last line may come off as a critique of other shows, here it's actually something impressive. It isn't just about flashy battles, it's about what it means to start over when you've already lived as the strongest creature in existence. And to wrap it up, the show has decent animation, and the story is reasonably well paced. The action is rare to see, but fairly well done when it does happen. So it's a thumbs up from me. After that, at number 7, we've got Wise Man's Grandchild. This series basically straight up hugs the isekai genre. The main character dies in modern Japan, because of course he does, and is reborn into a magical world. Raised by the legendary Merlin Wolford, the main character quickly showcases talent that underlines even his grandfather's fame. From a young age, he's redefining what magic can do, casually breaking the rules of spellcasting and creating techniques no one has ever imagined. By the time he's old enough to attend a magic academy, he's already untouchable. So this dude is basically everything Asian parents want their child to be. The entire premise rests on the fantasy of taking modern knowledge, mixing it with new world magic, and ending up with results no one else can hope to replicate. Everyone else watches him as if he's Goku. The art for this anime is pretty generic, and there isn't really anything in particular that stands out. And the same goes for the plot. I don't really mind it, but I don't know what you guys will make out of it, so just check it out and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next we have Blade Dance of Element Tailors. At first glance, this show looks like a typical fantasy academy anime, and it kind of is, but with a twist. so the main character is the only male in the world capable of making a contract with a spirit, a feat usually reserved for female elementalists. How he ended up with the contract, let's just not go there. It'd feel better if you just watch it. So this incident spikes a lot of controversy, like a lot. But also, the chances of him becoming the most unique elementalist in history. The battles are pure spectacle with elegant swordplay, magic, and contracts that feel refreshing. Now I know this sounds cliche and overused as hell, but I think it utilizes that premise better than most other such cases out there. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is a harem. Wait, hold the excitement in your pants, I'm not done yet. Now undoubtedly the most important part of a harem series is the characters themselves, as if they're not likable. Then it will suck no matter what. And most of the characters in the show are decently written. Yes, some feel bland and rushed, but still the overall show maintains a refreshing vibe. So if you just want to have fun, give the show a chance. And at number 5 we have World Break Aria of Curse for a Holy Swordsman. Now this is a fun one. This anime leans on a unique reincarnation twist by introducing the concept of saviors, students who awaken powers from their past lives. The protagonist is an oddball here because he recalls not one, but 2 reincarnated identities. A heroic prince-like warrior who wielded a holy sword and a great sage who mastered destructive sorcery. Instead of choosing one path, the main character embodies both, instantly marking him as the strongest in his generation. Why? Because he's the frickin' main character. What do you want from me? You don't get to ask questions here. Anyways, what elevates the story is how it blends romance and memory. Moroha's past life connections bleed into his present, creating bonds that feel faded and emotional. It recalls the reincarnation themes in Inuyasha, where relationships transcend time and lives. So if you want to watch an isekai that's fun, wholesome, and also action-packed, watch this. You might actually like it. Next at number 4, we have Magic Maker. How to make magic in another world. Now, where every other anime throws their heroes into combat-heavy scenarios, this show focuses on creativity as the main character's ultimate power. Reborn into a world governed by strict magical rules, the protagonist doesn't just follow the system, he rewrites it. By blending modern imagination with arcane knowledge, he crafts new spells, techniques, and enchantments that no one else has ever seen. This inventive approach ensures that he's not just strong, he's redefining what strength even means in this world. The charm lies in watching him tinker, experiment, and invest, turning what could have been a standard isekai into a story about limitless potential. And for once, it's actually fun watching him do that, because I remember there were a couple of shows released last year which had a similar concept to this anime, but my god, were they difficult to watch. I had to slap the hell out of myself just to finish a single episode of that crap. And compared to that, this show is definitely a better watch. After that, at the 3rd spot of today's list, we have Reincarnated as the daughter of the legendary hero and the Queen of Spirits. Now, if you just let that useless title slide off you, this is actually a damn good show. It leans hard into the reborn at the top fantasy trope by giving the main character an origin that practically screams overpowered from day one. This girl arrives in a new life as a half-spirit child. Her father is the legendary hero who once saved the kingdom, and her mother is the primordial Queen of Spirits. That setup alone stacks absurd amounts of pedigree and world-shaking potential onto a single protagonist. So the series wastes no time letting the premise do the heavy lifting. The main character's powers read like a checklist for omnipotence in an isekai. She remembers modern chemistry and the periodic table perfectly, which I never could, which lets her materialize precious metals and engineer explosions and compounds at will. Every time the story escalates her beyond mere specialist tricks into near divine territory. The narrative even frames her rise as a kind of purification or reset ability that edges towards godhood. And the world building is done really well here, so if you want to know, I'm always a sucker for fantasy settings. Oh yeah, I'd suck the hell out of them. Cut that out, please. And one last thing I'd like to add to this is that this show is a way too sweet and wholesome ride. If you can swing with that, this show will be a really, really fun ride. Personally, I'd rate this diabetes out of 10. Next at the runners-up of today's list, we have the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. This anime takes a darker, more calculated approach to the isekai genre. The protagonist, once the greatest assassin on Earth, is killed after years of flawless service to shady employers. Given a second chance by a goddess, he reincarnates into a fantasy world with one condition. He he must prevent its eventual destruction by killing the future hero. Unlike the typical Reborn as the strongest stories, this one adds tension by framing his overwhelming skills as tools for a mission with moral weight. He isn't just overpowered for the fun of it, he's a weapon of destiny. And what sets this series apart is how methodical the main character is. Where most reincarnated heroes brute force their way through problems, he applies assassin logic, patience, strategy, and precision. His noble upbringing adds another layer, blending political drama with personal ambition. He builds networks, trains allies, and balances his public persona as an aristocrat with his hidden role as a goddess's chosen killer. Of course, the Reborn's strongest flavor is still present, and there is a lot of cliché stuff that does make the show a little bit generic, but it never bores you. But at the top spot of today's list, we have So I'm a Spider. So what? Alright, so I think all of us know where this is going. So where most reincarnation stories drop their heroes into new worlds with cheap powers, this anime takes the bold step of turning the protagonist into one of the weakest creatures imaginable, a spider. At first, it feels like a cruel twist of fate, but what makes this series brilliant is how it transforms that disadvantage into a long, satisfying climb. The RPG-like mechanics of leveling up, learning skills, and acquiring new evolutions give the anime a structured sense of progress. Every battle is a puzzle where the main character has to outthink her enemies, exploit her environment, and use every ounce of cunning to survive. So by the time she achieves god-tier power, it feels earned. Her sarcastic, self-aware monologues bring energy to every scene, adding humor to the high-stakes fights. So it's a classic story of how the weakling becomes the strongest. The animation just adds to the anime's funniness, and overall, this show is a really enjoyable watch. Well, that's the list for today, guys. If you made it this far, please be sure to comment on which anime you think should have been on this list, or which one you have yet to watch. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and press on that bell icon, and set us all to be notified about all our latest new videos. And don't forget to like the video. And as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.